Let's welcome in commentary editor for the Washington Times and Newsmax contributor Kelly Sadler and radio host and Project 21 National Advisory Board member Christopher Arps back with us. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre again tried to address the gas crisis yesterday, claiming oil companies need to do their patriotic duty to lower gas prices after the president apparently sent a strongly worded letter to oil company CEOs. Take a listen.
We see that as an important first step in making sure that the oil refineries are doing their part, again, patriotic duty, in making sure that they're putting out capacity and they're not taking advantage of a war that is hurting the American public.
Kelly Sadler, good morning. Great to have you on. Just your take on that patriotic duty. They're making a lot of money, but they lost a lot of money during the 2 years of the pandemic. And now it's no longer Putin's price hike. It's the oil companies' price hike.
Yeah. I mean, it's just casting blame, right? I mean, Joe Biden on the campaign trail promised to put the oil and gas industry out of business. The fossil fuel industry, he was going to end all the permits, end all the drilling. And so now they're blaming the refineries and saying they're not patriotic enough because they're not refining enough. Well, there's a reason why they're not refining. They're at 96% capacity right now, so there's not much more they can do. The bottom line is they've had a couple years. They want to say that they're price gouging. Well, I mean, their profit margins went down during the COVID years. So to say that they're price gouging right now is just simply untrue. And to compare a couple years ago to right now with the profits is it's dishonest. And this is what's coming from the Biden administration. First it's Putin, now it's the refineries. The American people just see through it. But we're also in pain, paying $5 or more at the pump every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, just a couple of weeks ago, he canceled a lease to be able to drill in Alaska as well as in Mexico. He made those executive orders, too. We were just talking about, I think it was like the first or second day he got into office to stop the pipeline. He's telling them to drill and do more, but they can't. Exxon, Chris, actually did release a letter in response to President Biden. They said, look, we've doubled what we've earned over the past 5 years, and we have a solution. So they said enact emergencies used normally during hurricanes. Let us drill, such as give us predictable lease sales, but they're not. Chris?
Yeah, Kelly was exactly right when she talked about the oil refineries capacity at 96%. We had oil executives a couple of weeks ago that said that there will never be another oil refinery built in this country again. I think the last oil refinery that was built was like 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So even if we had more oil
1970s.
into the system, there's nowhere to refine it. That answer is just completely disingenuous and shows that she is over her head and really doesn't understand basic economics. The oil companies cannot control world economic oil markets. I mean, that seems very like common sense.
Right. Kelly, I thought I was so clever yesterday. I tweeted out that, Harry Truman said the buck stops here. Joe Biden says the buck stops there. It didn't get a lot of play on Twitter, but I thought that this administration seems to react way late to every major problem that they have. Is sending a letter to an oil executive, is that really the right strategy?
I mean, when you're unwilling to permit these leases, when you're unwilling to unleash our own energy sector here in America, it seems like that's their only call, right? They got to deflect. Right now, you have Joe Biden with inflation so high, and these gas prices is driving inflation, right? All of the truck drivers out on the roads, all of the small businesses, these are costs that they're incurring in right now. But like Joe Biden has a 71% disapproval of how he's handling inflation. That is higher than Jimmy Carter at the same time during his presidency, which I believe was at 66%. We're seeing shortages, we're seeing inflation. It doomed the Carter presidency, and the Biden administration is going the same path as the Carter administration. They're worse.
Yeah. Chris, I just wonder what the Biden administration is thinking, because he's blamed COVID for things. He blamed Putin for the gas increase. Look, we only got 7.9.
Wait, Allison, what about the evil orange man?
Oh, yes. Well, it's his fault, too.
I can't forget, they're still blaming Donald Trump for everything.
Yes, it's his fault.
Okay, he's playing golf down in New Jersey, and he's still getting blamed for everything.
Oh, absolutely. Look, we only get 7.9% of our oil from Russia, right? So that did not have a significant impact. Yes, they went up after that. But he just doesn't seem to have a plan other than to blame everybody else. In this letter, he basically threatened them. He didn't give them a timeline. It's like that parent that says, if you do this again, I'm going to put you in timeout.
Right.
But what is his plan?
I don't know what his plan is. It seems just to blame the oil companies, to blame everyone else, Putin, everything else. But what the real issue is that we need to drill for more oil in this country, and we have tons and tons of oil that are underneath our feet. But because the administration is so beholden to the radical environmentalists, that we all have to suffer with these high gas prices. That's what's so frustrating, because this problem is so easily solvable. And though it would take, some time to get that extra oil into the pipeline, I think if they just announced that we would drill here more into the country, that psychological effect would lower the price.
Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank was on one of the networks yesterday, and he said that Joe Biden's going to get absolutely hammered in the midterm if he doesn't come out and just at least address that they are going to do something. He can win the PR battle, at least a little bit of the PR battle, if he just starts talking about this and changing the messaging. Actually, you know what? We have that song. Let's play that just so you can hear what I'm talking about. But I like the way that he set this up. Take a listen.
It was a policy mistake by Biden when he came in. You reverse the mistake. All you have to do is jawbone. The oil market's a futures market. Just announced you're going to license 3 new refineries on the East Coast. Also announced we're going to re-examine the XL pipeline. We're going to give back the leases in ANWR. We're going to give more carbon direction to understand what the costs are. All of those policy mistakes could be reversed by just getting up and jawboning it. Now, Biden may not do that. That's on him, and he'll pay dearly for that in the midterms.
Kelly Duke, I think Mr. Wonderful sounds pretty wonderful. If Joe Biden just came out and changed the message a little bit and said something like that, I think that would shift. You'd get oil. Oil would come down. It wouldn't be $130 a barrel. People forget, April 2020, it was under $20 a barrel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these companies, these oil companies, right, they are a futures market. They want to invest in the long term. They don't want to start investing right now only to be shut down in another year or two, because this requires significant capital investment. And so if they knew that Joe Biden was open and encouraging them, they would, change their course of action too. But they know that Joe Biden, just like Chris was saying, is so beholden to the green energy, the climate activists, that he really does want to transition our country from fossil fuels to wind and solar and whatever else. Even though we're not ready to make that transition, he's going to force us into it. So they don't trust him. They don't believe him. And this is a theology with the left, right? The climate is a theology. It's their religion. Right. So it's nothing that we're not going to see them change course. They would have changed course if they had any plans by now.
We'll leave it there, panel. All of these allegedly brilliant minds, though, with nothing, no plan for in the meantime, right? In the meantime, before we're weaned totally off fossil fuels, what do we do in the meantime? This is the meantime right now. I'm going to change it. So instead of the buck stops here, it's the buck stops there, or maybe over there. How about that? That's going to be long to put on a placard on the Resolute desk, but maybe we see it at some point over the next 2.5 years. Panel will pick this back up top of the hour. Kelly Sadler, Chris Arps, thanks so much.